Today, joining us in the hotel, is a man who needs no introduction, but we're going to give him one anyway because everyone else gets one. It seems fair to do it. Finding fame with his portrayal of Dwight K. Schrute on the American version of The Office, our guest now has many titles alongside actor, including author, climate change activist, and founder of media and entertainment company SoulPancake. He's recently turned his hand to the world of podcasting with a new show, Dark Air, with Terry Carnation, which explores the life of a supernatural talk radio show host caught up in a mystery of his own. Known to some previously as Ragnar the Radical, please welcome to the Neutral Cider Hotel, Mr. Rainn Wilson.
Woo! Woo!
Hey.
Hello, gentlemen.
Hello, how are you?
I'm well. We had some technical snafus to begin this conversation. That isn't that Scottish? Snafu.
It is now. Yeah.
I hope it's not put you in a. It's not put you in a negative mood, has it?
I'm a little. I've been a little sour because of it, because I've been dealing with it. I was dealing with it for 10 or 15 minutes before I got on with you guys. So,
dear,
I'm a little sour. That's just, you're going to get the sour version of me for this conversation. But it might be more interesting because sparks are going to fly. You know what I mean, Grant, the asshole?
Oh, I'm ready for this. Oh my goodness, right in there. I imagine though, you as someone who's a fairly spiritual person, you know, you did your Hey There Human series on Instagram. You've got many tools to cope with a situation like this, right?
Mm.
What are you going to do? What are you going to tell yourself? What are you going to talk yourself through this with positivity? How are we going to do it?
Nope.
It's not happening.
Yes.
No.
So you've learned nothing.
I'm bitter and anxiety ridden, and none of my tools are working. So,
well, you'll do just fine here at the Neutral Cider Hotel. Welcome. You're in very, very good company, Rainn. Thank you.
Good,
yes,
good.
welcome.
Excellent. A bunch of bitter, jaded, anxiety ridden, middle-aged
A lot of facial
gentlemen.
hair as well.
Yes.
Middle-aged? Fuck off.
Oh.
I'm 30.
Okay.
Well, but
Listen, Martin with a Y.
Yes.
You might be 28, but you look 44. So,
well, I feel 55. I'll tell you one of the reasons I feel a bit older as well. I've been listening to the Bassoon King all day. How did that come about being written? Because it starts off brutally self-deprecating. Did you need to borrow money from Oprah to talk about your head?
yeah, I spent a good 3 or 4 pages talking about how enormous my head was and what an ugly baby I was. I figured that would start the book off right, because then, you know, the book gets kind of strangely like profound and deep and personal and vulnerable. But if I started off with talking about what a ridiculous human being I am and what a ridiculous body I was born into, then that would maybe the deprecation would like open people up to some deeper conversations. So that was my tactic. And it also happens to be true, Martin. I was a hideous baby with an enormous head. And now I still have the enormous head, but I have an enormous body to go with it at least.
So was going into acting a way of just putting yourself out there to cope with that? Just be like, well, I've got this enormous head, so I'm going to have to put it on televisions across the world.
I best learn this discipline.
Yeah.
Well, they say, and I don't know who says it, but it's on there. You can Google it. That actors have big heads, and it's true. It's very rare that you see like a very well-known actor with a baseball head.
With the little pinhead. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, with a little pinhead. Yeah. They've got big watermelons. I mean, if you're, Bryan Cranston or Tom Cruise or whomever
Tom
you are.
Tom Cruise got a big head. I didn't know that.
He's got a tiny body. He's got a big head. Yeah.
That's so interesting. That's why he's always running so fast, just to try and keep it balanced on top of his shoulders.
That's it. That's exactly it. That's exactly right.
Did they have to film like they did Lord of the Rings to kind of get the perspective right.
Forced perspective.
Yeah, so he's got
Right.
to stand behind anyone he's doing scenes with.
The visual effects budget in post-production to reduce the size of his head by 15% that's why he makes those big budget films.
It's all fancy. Now, I actually happen to have quite a large head, so maybe going into acting rather than a career within being, cider advocacy could be a way forward for me. What advice would you give for any budding actor, such as myself, in terms of a good way to be approaching that acting career? Do you think?
You big-headed bastard.
I think you're ready to go, Gabe. I think
Yeah.
you're very well groomed.
Thank you. Thank
You're
you.
very well spoken, and
Thank you very much.
just give it a go. Just give it a go. I would cast you.
What role would you cast me as? Yeah.
I'm well, I wouldn't. It's not. I wouldn't cast you necessarily as like a child molester because that's too. No, because that's too grotesque and too harsh and so. But what's child molester adjacent? Would be like creepy uncle who lets his hands linger.
Ooh. well. Maybe I will stick to the side of our advocacy after all. You've given great insight into the world of acting there, Rainn.
I think you've made a wise choice.
Yeah. Well, you and I have something in common is that you've written a book and I've written a book too. It's over here. It's called Ciderology by Gabe Cook, and so that's the ding whenever ciderology gets mentioned. So there's normally about 50 dings a show. This podcast is effectively a very, very grotesque and blatant opportunity for all of us to showcase our wares. And it's probably not working as well as we would like it to.
Every time you say ciderology, it rings.
Yeah.
And if you say modern British cider, and if you were to say, which is my upcoming book, and then if you were to say the Italian translation of ciderology, which is Il Mondo del Sidro.
Can I get a Bassoon King sound effect?
Ooh.
Yeah. Let's see what I got.
I love it.
I mean, that's more brass than woodwind, really, isn't it? But we'll take it probably.
Is it also the only podcast where you have a celebrity on and you go, I'm just going to talk about my own book? Well, let's bring it back. One thing that's interesting with Bassoon King is where you kind of put your perspective. Like there's moments where you linger on an ear with mold growing out of it, but there's so much time dedicated to these weird nuances. Can you just give some of our listeners a hint as to what it's like living in a mind where you look at someone's ear and go, how disgusting are you?
It's interesting to write, in all seriousness, it's very interesting to write a memoir. And I started writing it when I was 50. So I was really only halfway through my life. But what it causes you to do is I just started taking notes. And I just had a file. I had just a Word file and a notes file. Just anytime I had a memory or a funny story or anything, for like years, I started just compiling all of this. And I realized that it's kind of like, I've never read him, but he's supposed to be pretty good. There's this guy named Proust who's French. And this remembrance of things past, or however they translate it these days, that's what it was called when I was growing up. But it's all about how memory works and how the conscious mind works and links with memory and what causes memory. And I found that very interesting things happened to me when I started writing this book, which was there were whole years of my life I couldn't remember anything really happening. But then there would be select moments where I could remember every little detail. And it's just so odd. Like, I don't know, from like 9 to 11, I don't know what the fuck was going on. I went to school, I guess, but I don't, did we go on vacation? Did I break an arm? I don't know. I have zero idea. But I do remember my competitive chess events that I participated in with astounding detail. And one of those being a young gentleman who I describe as being so far gone into nerddom that he had mold growing in his ear. And this is absolutely true story. I brought my friends over. I tapped them. I'm like, come here. And I brought them over and we kind of looked in this lad's ear. And I'm telling you, it wasn't something else. It wasn't like soap scum or something like that. It was, but think about this. Like, how long does it take mold to grow half an inch? Like it takes, what is that, 3 weeks?
That's a while, isn't it? It's a good while.
Right. So that's going to take weeks, but then to set up an environment in which said growth is possible is also going to take some time. It's not like, oh, I'll put a piece of salmon in my ear and then 3 weeks and it's going to be covered in a kind of a yellow, white, fuzzy mold. No, it has to be germ-ridden, bacteria-laden previous to said chunk of salmon being in my ear. And so we're talking about a gentleman who probably has not bathed in 6 weeks. Or maybe he bathes just like the lower regions and has a thing about his ears or something like that. But it's the physics of it and the biology of it are astounding.
Well, why don't we ask him? He's here right now. Please welcome.
Chuck Stenoweth, please. Chess enthusiast from the early 80s in Seattle, Washington.
But moments like that, they stand out. It's quite a lot of body horror, which is I didn't expect especially with the front cover with you with a bassoon. But like, there's just so much grotesque shit in it. That's not a question. I just needed you to know that I was like,
yes.
Oh, Jesus.
So were you, but are you having a positive or negative reaction to that?
But both, I think. No, it's one where it's funny because it kind of does hone in on what's, like you're saying, it hones in on like those kind of things where the cogs are going and you're like, I don't remember, why would you talk about being 11 and being in school when there's a guy at a chess tournament who is that rotten? Like that's what's important. But
that is. Yeah. Well, keep going with the book. It does get a little less body horror and a little more in the realm of kind of like spiritual and psychological inspiration and life stories.
Let's talk about Terry Carnation because I think he's sort of grotesque in a way as well, right? Are you drawn to those sort of characters, those places?
Yeah, I would say I am. I have a pretty fucked up sense of humor, and yeah, he was a character I created with a friend who Terry Carnation, who hosts a late night AM paranormal call-in show, and it was really a fun pandemic creative enterprise, kind of like what you guys are doing with this podcast. Is like I just got a bunch of friends together. We wrote the episodes. We got more friends together. We recorded them over Zoom, and because a lot of them are improvised calls coming into this talk show, and then we've spent a long time editing them together, and it's been really fun. It's a scripted comedy podcast with improvisation, but it's got it's about some dark stuff. You know, his dead wife in the first episode. His dead wife calls into his talk show, so that starts a whole kind of journey of, you know, is she actually dead? Maybe it was a mistake that she was considered dead. You know, what's going on? Is someone pulling his leg? Is someone taking the piss out of him? Governor.
Have you ever watched? Have you ever seen any Derek Acora?
No. What's that?
He's a sort of supernaturalist presenter over here. Goes on ghost, like the ghost hunt stuff.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
So he's
Most Haunted.
It's called. He was the UK, and I know you had a bunch of shows like that in the US as well. And he is just one of the most interesting, ridiculous characters.
What's his name? I've got to Google him.
Derek Acora.
Okay.
His spirit medium is a dog. So his spirit that he speaks to in the spirit world is a dog called Sam, and he asks Sam questions.
Oh yes,
about people who he's trying to get in touch with, and then they take over his body. It's incredible. I think you would
fantastic.
really enjoy it.
That is delicious. I can't wait.
Rainn,
That is so good.
isn't your zonkey called Derek?
My donkey is called my zonkey is called Derek. Yes.
Yeah,
What's a zonkey?
Oh, Grant,
You guys have really
out.
done your research. You've
Yeah,
really
man.
done your research.
No, I really
Professional.
haven't.
Look at this.
Right.
We are the top 4 cider podcast of Southwest
Yeah,
England.
nearly Wales. Yeah, that's
Really,
yeah.
really solid bunch.
Yes, my wife loves animals, and
Do you love animals?
I love to eat them, and I'll pet them or play with them if the situation is appropriate. But no, I'm okay with animals.
That just sounds suspicious, though.
Yeah.
Like no one says that. Oh, when it's appropriate, though, obviously. Like
know.
no one
I mean,
underlines it that way.
I'm an inappropriate dog stroker.
When
Title of the episode, lovely, brilliant. We got it.
That is the title of the show, ladies and gentlemen.
inappropriate dog stroker, yes.
You were talking about Derek. Tell us about Derek.
If I find myself in a preschool with an iguana, you won't find me in the closet touching it inappropriately. I like animals when it's the right time and the right place to enjoy their company. So,
Oh my god. Well, genuinely, you compared our podcast to yours, so thanks. But also, you were talking about the pandemic. How have you felt dealing with essentially the big world thing in our life? This is the one big event, really. Like Y2K was shit. This is the one.
yeah, it's interesting. The first 6 months of the pandemic, probably because I'm an artist and I do writing and acting and producing and creating things, I was on fire with creativity. The first 6 months, everyone was kind of having a nervous breakdown and hitting a wall. And I was just like writing and producing and doing shows and getting people together and collaborating. And it was awesome. And then I really will say that I've been struggling like the last 2 or 3 months. I'm a little bit going out of my gourd right now. And I feel very unmotivated to be creative. And I feel a lot of anxiety and I don't know where to put my energy. And I'm back in therapy and, trying to deal with some of this and raising a teenager, which is no fun under any circumstances, least of which a global pandemic makes it really not fun. Now, none of you are middle-aged men yet. You're all very, very young, extremely young gentlemen, probably just out of college. And so you wouldn't understand yet. But yeah, so it's been rough. I'm not going to lie. It's been rough. But I've been working out and I've been playing some tennis and lifting some weights, so that's good.
What are you benching these days?
My body's extraordinary. I was benching. I did 10 reps at 150 pounds, which I know is very, very normal. That is extremely average. But for me, for a bloated, spaghetti-armed nerd from suburban Seattle, that's pretty darn good.
Good effort.
Well, I wanted to talk to you about your kind of physicality, because in a lot of your roles, there's a lot of it in that intimacy. So like you've got Arthur and Ruth in a 6 Feet Under, Dwight and Angela, Crimson Bolt and Bolty. Do you seek out roles that have this kind of intimacy, or do casting agents look at you and go, Rainn Wilson knows how to fuck?
Yes. Unlikely sex symbol? Sure, I'll take that mantle. I remember reading an interview or watching an interview with Bob Odenkirk, and he was talking about how he really loved it when his characters that he plays get hurt and get put into really kind of difficult, uncomfortable, and painful physical situations. And he was always asking the writers to make sure that, can I hit my head? Can I get stuck in a doorway? Can I drop things? Can I spill stuff on me? And I just really, and I think he's brilliant. I just love his work so much, and have from the get-go. And from when he made his start on the Ben Stiller show, which is really one of the best sketch comedy shows of all time. But I really related to that because I really enjoy, like, can I take my shirt off? That will make people laugh. Can I, be involved in an unlikely love affair? Can I vomit? Anything that's kind of grotesque and uncomfortable, I'm definitely drawn to. It's just my sensibility. So if I can highlight that in a character, I will always go in that direction. And frankly, in The Office, Greg Daniels, when at a loss for things to do, he would have Dwight take his shirt off. And I'm really not making that up. Like, we would literally have a scene and we'd kind of be working on it and like, this isn't really working. And Greg would just be like, well, why don't we have Dwight laying down on the couch with his shirt off, like he's taking a nap with his shirt off. And and I'm like, yeah, let's do it. I'm like, okay, sign me up. Here we go. And it would it's good for a laugh, it works.
Why doesn't he go into this closet with an iguana?
That's inappropriate.
Yeah.
Did you have a really good vision of Dwight? When you first started, did you know who he was straight away?
Yeah, Mackenzie Crook, who invented Gareth, was so obviously with Ricky and Steven, created an indelible, unforgettable, amazing character that I had never seen before. And essentially, I took a lot of what he did. He gave himself a really bad, unflattering haircut. I remember reading an interview with him about that.
He got married with that
married.
haircut. Yes, that's renowned. The wedding photo.
His wife was absolutely
apoplectic,
raging. Yeah.
That's
but they probably
hysterical.
paid for the wedding, though. So you got take it with that.
Yeah.
But yeah, you were saying about the physicality with you and that.
And I love
the head.
The way, So I have the giant head, the aforementioned watermelon head. So how do I highlight that in a way that normally, if you've got a big head, you can disguise your hair in such a way where people don't notice it. But if you show off the entirety of your forehead, look at that thing. Look at that sucker. It's mammoth. It's
beautiful.
That's an actor's head right there.
Yes, that is. It's Cruise-esque, but but I love the way he would say the most absurd things without a hint of any knowledge that it was funny, and when they all did that on The Office brilliantly, and so there were so many things. But yeah, when I first read the character, I was like, oh, this is me. Like, no one knows this world like me. And, and the great thing about Dwight in The American Office, and Gareth too, for that matter, is there's a combination of like nerd bully that's really interesting. Like sometimes like, oh, he's such a dork. And sometimes it's like, oh, he's such an egregious bully and so inappropriately, hostile, aggressive, like overbearing. But you can't really put your finger on who he is as a character. Like, is he white trash? Is he a farmer? Is he is he a salesman? Is he a dork? Is he a suck up? And it's like, he's kind of all these things. And that was, I think, for Greg Daniels and for Ricky, and the characters they created for both offices, like, you never could put your finger on what who the characters were. You know, they were three-dimensional. They were interesting. They had a lot of facets, and I think that's why Dwight has lasted as a character, as a well-known, beloved character. Dare I say that? Can one say that about one's own work? But he is. He's a beloved character. I don't know if he is in the UK, but in the United States, he is. And I think it's because it's just like you can't quite, episode to episode, you can't quite put your finger on who he is.
Well, I grew up, I watched The Office when it came out, and I was not the right age. I was 11, 12, so I don't know why it resonated with me in the UK. But I always liked the kind of the fragility that Gareth has. He's supposed to be strong, and he wants to be in the army, and he's just quite weak. Whereas what was interesting watching the American one is you do almost the reverse, where it's like you're surprisingly extreme, right, masculine. It just seems at complete odds. Like, how was that coming to that character for you?
Yeah, again, like I said, it you know, this is someone who, you know, loves, you know, playing Dungeons and Dragons, but is also loves, you know, blowing shit up, you know, and so it's again, you can't quite pin him down, and I really enjoy that about characters. And if I play any character besides Dwight, I try and find those kind of inconsistencies in them so you can't quite label them. Oh, this is the bad guy, or he's the nerdy, he's the nebbishy sad sack husband, or he's the, you know, to just find those colors, textures, facets, and nuances.
How was so when the Office is ending, and you've been playing this character for, you know, 10 years, how did that feel? How did you feel about the next step? Were you worried about being typecast? Were you nervous about losing a part of your identity with Dwight? Or, you know, I'm interested to know how that felt with that coming to an end, or whether you're just like, cool, it's brilliant, we've done it, move on.
Yeah. Well, it's been, you know, this is a real challenge. So Dwight is an iconic character that is well loved by a lot of people, and I'll always be known as Dwight, kind of first and foremost, no matter what I do. Even if I'm on another hit TV show that goes for 10 years, I mean, it's never going to surpass the way The Office was kind of one of the very last shows in America. I don't know what happened in the UK, but The Office, Modern Family, Big Bang Theory all kind of started around the same time. And those were the last kind of big comedies that had a big, broad audience. And after that, all the comedies are very niche, you know. You know, you have other, Baskets, or you have, Ted Lasso or whatever, these other comedies. But they're, you know, they might only have like a couple 100,000 people watching each episode. Search Party is one I like. But that was the last. So anyways, incredible doors were opened because I got to play Dwight. It, you know, allowed me a certain measure of, you know, celebrity, and opened my way for, you know, jobs and trips and money-making opportunities and stuff like that. So I bought a house. You know, I mean, that's really all you want as an actor is like, can you buy at the end of the day, can you buy a fucking house, you know? And
stroking iguana.
Yeah.
Can you stroking? That's an excellent euphemism. But but at the same time, it's tough because, you know, I'm known as this one role. And a lot of times I've talked to my agents, I get turned down for things like, they just think he's too recognizable. Like it'll throw people off to have the guy who played Dwight there, you know. It was that weird line of like, you know, if Robert Downey Jr.'s in a movie, do people look at him and go, oh, that's Iron Man? Like, so what is it about
Wait a minute, that guy's Iron Man.
Whoa.
It's all smoke and mirrors.
Stop the projector, please.
The train's coming right at us.
But so it's an interesting challenge. But here's the deal, Grant. I went to theater school in New York. You Brits, I don't know about the Scots, but you Brits understand like the world of the theater and what the role of the actor is. Like, I play characters. So sometimes I'm in dramas, sometimes I'm in comedies. I transform. I'll play a bad guy. I'll play a nerdy guy. I'll play a dumb guy. And that's it. I was playing dozens of roles before I did The Office, and I'll play dozens of roles after The Office, and people will either give a fuck about them or they won't give a fuck about them. And that's okay. Hopefully at the end of the day, they'll kind of go, oh, wow, this guy played a lot of different roles besides Dwight. Look at that. But maybe they won't. It's okay. I have a good time. And, I just make sure to keep things really on the up and up with my iguana and just treat him with the respect that he deserves, and not do anything in private with him, and so my wife doesn't walk in with me and my iguana.
Sorry, she's looking after the zonkey. It's fine anyway. Poor Derek's,
Sure.
looking after himself. It's all good.
Yeah.
Rainn, I was going to ask you around the nature of fame and the level of desire of it from your part, or whether it's simply a necessity in order for you to create, in order to achieve all of the creative aspirations that you have in terms of acting. Being a successful actor, being good at your craft and your skill naturally sort of comes with a degree of fame. Is that something that you have liked, enjoyed, or is it just something that just comes with the territory?
Yeah, that could be a whole podcast subject. And I don't think people talk about fame enough, and they don't really dive into it. They were interviewing young American kids. This was about 10 years ago. And they said, what do you want, more than anything? And it wasn't money, and it wasn't love, and it wasn't wealth, and it wasn't a great career. They wanted fame. Fame was the number one thing that young Americans wanted. And because when you have fame, you get money, and you get attention, and you get love, and you get status, and you get good jobs. So, but now you have, because of social media and podcasts and, ciderology.
Don't give it credence, please.
Everyone, not everyone, but there are just tens of thousands of people seeking it who don't have any appreciable skills at getting it. They're not necessarily a comedian or a great musician or a great artist or what have you. So, I never honestly, all from the bottom of my heart, with all truthfulness, I did not seek fame. I simply wanted to work. I worked for years in theater. Then I wanted to work in film and TV so I could make a little money and pay off my student loans and eventually buy a house. But I did not even really think about fame. And then all of a sudden, with 6 Feet Under, and then swiftly thereafter, The Office, all of a sudden I was famous. I mean, I remember, my God. So the Office is set in the city of Scranton in Pennsylvania. And 6 months after the show aired, they invited me to go inaugurate their new mall. So they flew me to Scranton and paid me, at the time, what was a boatload of money for me, to be at this mall, and people could line up and I would sign autographs, and they're like, Rainn Wilson from The Office is coming to Scranton. And they picked me up in the airport in a police escort.
Oh, nice.
4 cop cars and a stretch limo. And they brought me to the mayor's office, and they gave me the key to the city. And I met with the town council, and this guy was proposing to his girlfriend, and I kind of initiated it or inaugurated
presided over the whole thing. Oh, awesome.
I presided. Excellent choice of words. And Gabe, Do you use words like that in ciderology?
I do.
All the
We
time.
actually talked about. I have a ridiculous use of the English language. I utilize the word "utilize" far too much. So much so that I was called out on social media, and every time I say the word, I now have to give money to charities. There's a few extra quid gone. I say the word idiosyncratic far too often, and I can't say the word jewelry properly. I say jewellery apparently. So it's a minefield. It's a minefield.
This is the weirdest brag session.
I know.
Like, you're talking to a man. This man has actually, I think you may be one of the only people to beat a presidential candidate in a rap battle on TV.
Oh, yes.
Like, your level of fame is weird, insane, and idiosyncratic. But talking about fame, we've got probably Scotland's sixth best percussionist here.
Sure.
We obviously know you through Grant. How did you come to find Frightened Rabbit as a band?
Well, that's a great question too.
Doesn't remember.
Yeah.
Well, I'm trying to think if there's more.
Thanks for embarrassing both of us, Martin.
I'm trying to think if there was more to say.
Were you looking
on
for like
fame.
an animal shelter or something?
You got any frightened rabbits?
We had a. Okay, I'm gonna move fame aside. We'll do that next time.
Yeah.
I don't remember who turned me on to Frightened Rabbit, but when I heard Heads Rolled Off, and Heads Rolled Off when that first came out, and then me and my friends and everyone I knew and everyone on the office were huge Frightened Rabbits fans, and we were just like, our minds were blown. And I got in touch with Scott and Grant and other members of the band, and I had them on this talk show I did in the back of a van, and I went to a whole bunch of shows and brought them to the Office set when they were in LA. And I think I saw Frightened Rabbit maybe 4 times live, and we were just huge fans, and loved Grant's thundering drums.
Yes, I remember the.
Do you remember the band Big
show.
Country from Scotland?
Yeah.
In a big country, dreams really. You guys, I think Scottish percussionists are playing like they're playing the drums of the Moors.
As if their lives depended on it.
I remember one show I particularly remember that you attended, you and John. It was at the Knitting Factory in LA, and you'd been at like the Emmys or the Golden Globes or something. I remember it was just, I think we'd visited the set the day before, and we were like, oh yeah, we've got a show this night, and you're like, oh no, and this is like the only time it's ever happened that someone goes, oh, I've got to go to the Emmys.
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
That's a
But then
good,
you're like,
excuse. That's
what time?
Sorry.
But you were both like, what time are you on? We'll come down after. We're like, there's no fucking way they're going to come down. When we put these names, your names on the guest list, and people at the door probably think we're taking the piss, and then, you both turned up in your tuxedos at the Knitting Factory.
Yeah, like 10:30 at night. Great show.
It was incredible. It was great. And I guess maybe going back to fame a little bit, how you didn't exactly attempt to blend in at that event, did you? Like, you arrive with like probably one of LA's tallest actors, wearing tuxedos. I don't know
Rainn's
if you
giant
had
head.
awards.
I mean, what chances did he have to blend in?
Krasinski's got a big noggin too, by the way. Joe.
Yeah, is his lengthy? I feel like his would be quite lengthy.
Yeah, it's a bit engorged. Yeah.
You went, let's bring it back to fame, and now we're talking about John Krasinski's head length.
No, I think it's even bigger than that, Grant. I think we were brought there by limousine, and the limousine waited for us to finish the show and brought us back home.
Sounds about right.
And the Knitting Factory at that point in time, that was a little piss hole. I mean, that was a crappy little venue. You've since played a lot bigger, better venues than that. I don't know why you were playing that in LA when it was, but the sound was great, and we were up above the stage. I remember it distinctly. It was amazing.
Wow, thank you very much.
Yeah.
Yeah. I visiting the set of The Office at that time was probably the best thing that had happened in my life, and I still remember the scene that you were shooting as we arrived, and then afterwards we're in this little room and Steve Carell comes in and actually introduces himself, which I just thought was so incredible. And you know, you obviously know him particularly well, but just to be so humble, to do that, to come in and be, hi, I'm Steve. You know, we're all like, yeah, we fucking know.
Scottish accent there.
Yeah.
I think it was Josh Ritter. Was it not Josh Ritter that put you onto us? I feel like that was what you.
I don't know if it was. No. You know what? I put Josh onto you guys.
Oh, did you?
You're the tastemaker.
I turned Josh Ritter onto you guys, and then he brought Scott on one of his little tours as a solo
That's right.
act. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And you were in New York, right?
That's right. But I love that you were one of the great rock bands of the last 20 years, and the greatest moment of your life was visiting the set of The Office. I don't know if that's really cool or really pathetic.
I think it's pretty cool. Martin, would you agree? I mean,
No strong opinions on The Office. Sorry.
what was
No,
can we talk about The Office quickly again? What was your favourite prank that Jim played on you?
You asking me or Martin?
Yes. No, I'm asking.
Yeah, Rainn, if you wait there, I'll do a long speech.
I don't know. I really loved the one where Dwight's desk gets moved into the bathroom. And I loved it because at the very end, he's like, he tracks the cords, the phone cords, and he finds it goes into the bathroom, and he goes in the bathroom and he's like, he's like, damn it, Jim. And he finds the desk, and then the phone rings and he looks at it, and then he answers it. Dunder Mifflin, this is Dwight. And then there's a flush, and then Kevin, the large accountant, comes out of the stall. And it was just like, that moment was just a really beautiful, underplayed, delicious comic moment that, of course, he's going to answer the phone because that's the kind of clown that he is. And then, of course, the toilet. And it probably, you could just immediately imagine the smell of the bathroom at the time. And so that was a fun one.
I think for me the two best ones are, it's the meatball reversal one. You just got meatballed, where you trick the prank backwards, but also the one where you come in dressed as Jim and you're acting as Dwight, acting as Jim, and the end. It's the beautiful moment where you go, "Witty comment."
Yeah.
It's so good.
Yeah,
it's fucking amazing.
Sidewinder comment. Sidewinder comment. That was fun.
Did The Office just feel like fun? Did it just feel like you were just going into like an office with your friends?
It really was. We would have guest directors come on the show, and their jaws would literally drop, not figuratively, literally drop, and because they were like, everyone loves each other. Like, we're 9 seasons in, and we're all hugging and high-fiving and laughing and joking around and goofing off, and it just was a really warm, inviting, fun, collaborative atmosphere. And that really started with Greg Daniels at the top and Steve Carell at the top. And but there were days sometimes you get in at 5:30 in the morning and you're grumpy and you're thinking about, your marriage and your life and your bunions, and you don't feel like being there. And there were hard days, but by and large, it was a super fun, incredible creative experience. I don't think I'll ever have. I've been on 2 TV shows since then, and it's never even come close.
Is there something about the nature of the fact that it originated as a as a British comedy. Are you a fan of sort of British comedy? And, you know, you talk about the self-deprecating nature and some of the subtlety that's involved of things, and maybe because of, you know, you had a theatrical background rather than somebody coming straight out of acting school, sort of straight into the big show, that learning that craft and some of that uniqueness, which is, you know, more commonly associated with British kind of comedy. Is that something that really kind of you get into, that you really enjoy?
Well, I'm a huge fan of British comedy. I mean, Monty Python kind of made me who I am. They used to show it, oddly enough, on American public television, which, for those who know, it's a really lame. It just shows like animal documentaries and really boring news documentaries. And then at like midnight on the weekends, it would show Monty Python, and I would record episodes on my cassette deck recorder, my Panasonic cassette deck recorder. I would hold it up to the TV and I would memorize them, you know, and it was, but, you know, going forward, like, I'm a huge Steve Coogan, Alan Partridge fan. I absolutely adore him, and I love the Mighty Boosh. Absolutely love them, and Noel Fielding, and yeah, there's so much great British comedy. And
have you watched League of Gentlemen before?
I've not seen League of Gentlemen.
Oh,
mate, you will fucking love
and
it.
Inside Number 9, which also came subsequently from two of the same
They've
writers.
got a few kind of
Dark
great.
and funny. Dark and funny.
Yeah.
Just give you homework to
Garth
do.
Marenghi's
That's right.
Dark Place. I
We'll
love that
speak
one.
to you in 3 weeks' time.
Oh, that's when I heard Terry Carnation.
Yeah.
I was like, he must have watched Garth Marenghi's Dark Place, because
yeah.
it's got that same thing.
It's definitely
it's that same tone.
Totally different world, but it's in that genre. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, love that one.
Well, you directed some of the episodes of The Office as well. Is that something that you'd like to do more of, or is there anything that you've got in the pipeline?
Yeah, there's a movie that I wrote that we have producers attached to and some funding, and we're just trying to cast it, which is very tricky and difficult in terms of making box office back. So, there's a couple other screenplay projects I'm trying to write in order to direct. I don't really want to direct television so much I don't know how it is in the UK, but in the United States, it's not a terribly interesting job to direct someone else's TV show, because you're just handed the script. You know, you can give a couple notes, but they don't really want you to like mix it up and meddle in it. The actors know what they're doing. They know how they're going to do it. The look and feel of the show has already been created. You're just there to kind of like move the cameras around and tell the story according to the kind of the vision and the Bible of that particular television show. So, and then it takes a long time. So, you know, it's 2 weeks of prep and, you know, a week and a half of shooting and then a couple weeks of post. So it takes a big chunkier time up. So I'm not really that interested in that, but trying to get some film stuff off the ground. One of the great things I did is I did an appearance on this new Star Trek show as the legendary Harry Mudd, this character back from the original series in the late 60s. And they were doing these Star Trek short films, and I got to direct myself as Harry Mudd in this 15-minute Star Trek short film, and a lot of visual effects and special effects and motion capture and stuff like that. It was really, really, really fun.
Was that recent?
Yeah, that was about 2 years ago. Yeah, so this is called Star Trek Discovery. If you go to where the Star Treks are, here it's on CBS All Access, you know, wherever they happen to live, and then Paramount Plus or whatever, and then they have the Star Trek shorts, and it's back there. So something I'm proud of.
Have you been on any sets in the past sort of year and a half since the pandemic, or have you?
Yeah.
How's it been? How did that affect the industry there?
Yeah, it was definitely strange. You know, I do a recurring part in this show called Mom, this comedy in America, and a couple other things. And it's, you know, you're just getting swabbed in your nose every few hours, and you wear masks everywhere, and everyone keeps their distance. And It's kind of a comedy killer, honestly, but it's not kind of warm and human and fun. But we get by. The show must go on. People need to have their jobs, and people need their entertainment. So, but I think hopefully things will be changing pretty soon.
I wanted to ask you a question about SoulPancake, and in terms of the origins of it, and also, what was the inspiration around creating something that was just about, inspiring, fun, engaging, positive stories, platforms, and actions, which, it sounds so simple when you say it like that, but actually there's a paucity of those kind of places to do that, just to sort of celebrate and to be, full of just sort of sheer joy. How did it all come about?
I love your use of the word paucity in that question.
Thank you very much.
Dude, I was just going to say that.
Yeah.
I'm just going to add that to the list. All right.
So thanks for asking. When The Office started, I got together with some friends. I was like, looks like I've got a job that's going to last for a while. I'm going to make a little money. And I was like, I just want to do something really positive on the web. What do we do? So we started this SoulPancake.com as a website, as a web destination, kind of hub for people to gather and talk about life's big questions and share art. And there were challenges and articles, and it was almost like a part social media, part like online magazine. And that went fine, and we got some attention, and we were on Oprah show about it, and some other, it was doing pretty well. But we realized that what we were best at was making video content. So SoulPancake turned into a digital video content creating enterprise, and we wanted to make uplifting, inspiring content that brought people together. And we made a lot of kind of hit viral little digital shows that were on our YouTube channel or Facebook or what have you. And so it's been amazing. We wrote a best-selling book, and, we've had 1 billion video views.
No way. That's incredible.
Jesus fucking Christ.
Yeah. And it was great. Like, I don't know if we made a difference, but, maybe we cheered people up at some point in time, and maybe we brought a little bit of healing here, a little understanding there, a little warmth here or there. And I think that's what we all need to try and do. I think that's our human prerogative, is to, people always used to say, and maybe some people still say, like, well, don't hurt anyone else, live a good life, and that's all it needs. But I really feel like maybe that was true in the 80s or 90s, or I don't know. I don't think it really was, because there's all kinds of injustice everywhere.
Yeah.
But it doesn't work. That philosophy no longer carries any water. Just live a good life and don't hurt anyone else. Don't fuck anyone else up. No, live a good life and take care of you and yours, and don't hurt anyone else, and make the world a better place, and contribute in some way, shape, or form to some mode or measure of positivity in the world. And that it can be small, man. It can be just like on your block, you have a bake sale for charity, and whatever it is, it's like you wash your neighbor's car. It can be super small.
Helping the granny across the road, just doing the good deed.
Exactly. But everyone,
saving the iguana,
kids, yep, helping the iguana rescue, traumatized iguana rescue is so important. There's literally in the LA area, I know of dozens of iguanas that have been sexually traumatized in really grotesque ways.
Oh no!
And they need to be brought back. They need to be given good homes, safe, appropriate homes. So
well, let's move on back to SoulPancake. But with it, there's a big focus on life's big questions.
Mm-hmm.
Have you got any answers to these, or do you just try and love the questions themselves?
Well asked. And I'm just launching, actually, in mid-June, a new podcast called Metaphysical Milkshake that I do with the writer Reza Aslan. And it is all about life's big questions, because that was one of the kind of the pillars that we created SoulPancake. what is a way of uniting us all? Well, life's biggest questions, whether you're a Democrat or Republican or a Tory or a Labour or whatever, Scottish independence or you know, um, the big questions. Why are we here? Do we have free will? What is love? These big questions are what are human questions that we've been asking since the dawn of time. So this was an important part of SoulPancake. And I will say that what are my big questions? Yeah, I don't know that I have many answers, but I love the asking of the questions, the probing of the questions. I was really like the probing of the iguanas. I was a kid. I would literally be at like a high school party and go up to someone and say, "Hey, do you believe in God?" Not because I was trying to convert them or anything. I was just really interested. Like, what do you think happens when we die? Like, and people are just like look weird, and they, people are so
stay away from that rainbow.
Yeah. They're so freaked out by it. But I was just that. I've just always been that person. I've always asked the inappropriately large questions.
Well, I got to say, Rainn, your interview in the back of the van with Elon Musk was particularly fun. When you asked him the question, "What's life like being named after a smell?" I thought that was particularly insightful and also ego pricking. And I can't remember what his response was, but it was quite short lived. But you did seem to sort of relish that interviewee role, which must naturally sort of come about having being predominantly in your life and career on the other side of the questions. It must be really nice to be able to sort of wield that knife.
Yeah, I love doing interviews. I love doing podcasts and talking, especially when you get to be both absurd and profound, as we've been doing a little bit on this podcast. So I like sexually traumatized iguana jokes hand in hand with the meaning of life conversations. And so, yeah, that was a treat. There's way more footage of me with Elon Musk. And I've been telling him, like, he's like the richest guy in the world now. You got to find all that footage and put together a new fun, interview with him. So.
Well, not necessarily this week, because his comedy performance on SNL has tanked cryptocurrency.
Yeah, Doggy Coin is not happy.
Get SoulPancake away from it. You're like, oh no, we've never interviewed that smell.
Another thing that Rainn and I share, which I don't believe any of the other people in this podcast do.
Tapeworms
is, other than tapeworms, allegedly, is that Rainn and I have both stood on a glacier before. I saw via SoulPancake your visit to Greenland. I lived in New Zealand for a while, and I hiked up a glacier a few years back. And in terms of your desire to sort of showcase what is happening kind of with climate change. I enjoyed the fact that the video, you're presenting things in a fun and easygoing way, but this is obviously like a really sort of crucial topic. What are your primary endeavors of trying to convey this message? Are you really asking for people to make significant changes, or just to be just purely aware that change is afoot?
Well, to quote Frightened Rabbit, "While I'm alive, I make tiny changes to Earth." And this is truly one of my favorite and most profound lyrics. And I always felt like I need to, like, as they say, like, shit or get off the pot. Like I got to do something about climate change, especially in my position as a celebrity, other than send out occasional angry tweets. That's not enough. And drive an electric car and angrily tweet occasionally. That's not going to cut it. So I was like, that led me to joining the board of this nonprofit called Arctic Base Camp, doing a trip with them up to Greenland, documenting it, making a little documentary series that I hopefully is fun and uplifting and goofy enough to have a younger audience so they kind of learn about climate change in some new and interesting ways. And I still do more work with this nonprofit. And, you've got to you got to put your money where your mouth is, and it doesn't have to be money. It can be time. We all make tiny changes to Earth in whatever way we can. You don't need to be a celebrity to be involved in the, philanthropy or, kind of public awareness or whatever. Everyone can make a difference, and it can be very small, So yeah, that was a profound pleasure, and being in Greenland was an extraordinary experience.
I'm actually, this is not joking, I'm a geography graduate, and I did a considerable amount of work about past climate change as part of my degree. So maybe on another occasion, another podcast, you and I can get together and talk about the nature of thermohaline circulation and how the melting of the glaciers in the northern hemisphere are contributing towards the lack of formation of North Atlantic deep water. And actually, we're all going to freeze eventually, but we'll save that for another. We'll save that for another time, possibly. It's true. We will. Anyway, on to something slightly more positive, Rainn. What are you looking forward to for the rest of this year? What's exciting you? What's on your radar? What are you looking forward to?
Well, I'm looking forward to the world being vaccinated and us finding a way out of this. I'm looking forward to whatever small lessons we learned from this pandemic to be applied more globally with humanity, to let it bring us together and educate us and move things forward. I'm going to be filming a movie in this summer, which I'm excited about, and more Terry Carnation episodes coming. And I'm writing a book on spirituality.
Oh,
so
there we go. As long as it comes out after October, because that's when Modern British Cider is coming out. Just saying, if that's all right.
Because the crossover there is.
You never know.
It's going to be huge.
There are at least 7
I'll put down
people.
my copy of Rainn Wilson's new book. This Modern British Cider seems really good.
Gabe, do you maybe if you can you get your book in the US anywhere?
The reason why Grant asked the question and Martin is laughing quite audibly is that my publisher informed me that the rate of sale of my book in the US was not commensurate with the cost of shipping. So although there are many, I would say at least a couple of thousand copies sat in a warehouse in Oxfordshire.
Can we see if we can increase it?
Yeah, come on, Rainn.
Can we increase it by just have Rainn say, please, everyone, buy Ciderology by Gabe Cook?
Please, everyone, buy Ciderology by Gabe Cook.
There we go. There's 3 sales there straight away. Fantastic from our listeners.
I think you're overestimating my celebrity clout. I'm very old hat. Like, oh, that weird old guy. He's been on 1,000 shows. I don't give a fuck what he has to say. So
you maybe get 2 sales.
It's more than we've got, so I'll take it. Thank you very much.
All right. Yeah. All right. Fair enough.
Deal. Done deal.
Oh, dude.
Rainn, thank you so much for joining us. It's been an absolute pleasure having a good old yak and chinmug with you. For anybody who's listening who wants to listen to Terry Carnation or to just learn more about all of your activities, what are the best sort of social media and web places for them to head to?
At Ciderology on Instagram.
Thank you very much. Actually, it's actually Ciderologist, but yeah, that's okay. Well, it's close enough.
I don't know. You can follow me on social media or not. I don't really care, but I love each and every one of you. And thanks for having me. This was really fun, and it was a great conversation. And it was a pleasure meeting you, gentlemen. And Grant, it was great seeing you again, and I hope you stay in touch.
You too. Thank you so much, man. Really appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Thank you.